Look up at the night sky. For your entire life, that pale cratered sphere has been the constant companion of the Earth. It governs our tides, our calendars, and our romantic folklore. We take its existence as a mathematical certainty, a piece of rock captured by Earth's gravity billions of years ago. But what if I told you that for most of human history, the sky was empty? In the writings of the ancient Greek philosophers like Aristotle and Plutarch, there are repeated, explicit references to a time called Proselenes. In Greek, this literally translates to those who were before the moon. They speak of a period when the night was lit only by the stars, and the great eye had not yet been placed in the heavens. The indigenous tribes of the Zulu in Africa have oral traditions that tell of the moon being brought here hundreds of generations ago by two brothers of a serpent race. They describe it not as a world, but as an egg that was hollowed out and placed in the sky to monitor the Earth. Mainstream science calls these myths. But if the moon has always been there, why do the oldest maps of the stars, maps found in the ruins of the old world, feature every constellation with precision, but zero mention of a lunar cycle? In the Tartarian narrative, the moon is not a natural satellite. It is a piece of advanced antiquitech, a massive hollowed-out station deployed in the immediate wake of the 1816 reset. It wasn't born from a collision. It was towed into position to watch over the prison planet we now call home. 1816. The year history went dark. The year of the mud flood and the Great Reset. As we have uncovered in our previous investigations, this was the moment the Tartarian energy grid was sabotaged by the Founders. But the Founders knew that simply destroying the grid wasn't enough. The humans of the old world were too powerful. Their DNA was tuned to the high frequencies of the ether. To keep them in a permanent state of software reset, the Founders needed a global frequency jammer. They needed the moon. The tidal lock. Have you ever noticed how the moon is tidally locked? We only ever see one side? Mathematically, the probability of a natural satellite having a rotation that perfectly matches its orbit so that it never shows its dark side to its host planet is nearly zero. It's not a coincidence. It's a broadcast orientation. The side facing Earth is a massive array of transmitters and sensors. By placing the moon in a perfect circular orbit, another mathematical impossibility for a captured rock, the Founders created a permanent surveillance station that monitors every inch of the inner pond. When the dust of the 1816 war settled, the survivors looked up and saw a new light in the sky, a pale, cold light that didn't feel like the sun. They didn't know that their new companion was actually their new warden. Mainstream science wants you to believe the moon is a solid ball of rock and dust, but the physics say otherwise. In 1969, NASA's Apollo 12 mission purposely crashed a lunar module into the surface to test seismic equipment. The result sent shockwaves through the scientific community that have been suppressed for decades. According to the lead seismologists, the moon rang like a bell for over an hour. To ring like a bell, an object must have a hollow, resonant structure. A solid rock doesn't ring, it thuds. The titanium crust. Further analysis of the lunar surface reveals that the craters are shallow. Even the widest craters, hundreds of miles across, never exceed a certain depth. It's as if the impactors are hitting an impenetrable metallic inner hull. In the Tartarian model, the moon is a hollow spheroid made of an advanced, non-corrosive titanium alloy. This hull is covered in a layer of lunar dust to camouflage it as a natural body. Inside this hull is the infrastructure of the Founders, the servers, the energy cores, and the observation decks that have been managing the reset of humanity for over 200 years. It is the ultimate black site of the 19th century victors. Why do we have the word lunacy? Why do police and hospital emergency rooms across America report a massive spike in violent, erratic behavior during a full moon? Mainstream science says it's superstition, but the truth is rooted in bioelectromagnetics, the water frequency bridge. The human body is 70% dollar water. 1. The moon, through its gravitational and frequency-based manipulation, doesn't just pull the oceans, it pulls you. The moon broadcasts a specific low-frequency signal, a static jamming frequency. This frequency is designed to disrupt the human pineal gland, the antenna we once used to connect to the ether during the Tartarian era. By keeping our biological water in a state of constant lunar flux, the satellite prevents us from reaching the high vibrational states of our ancestors. It is a planetary sedative. During the full moon, the signal is at its strongest, overloading the nervous systems of the reset humans who are still genetically predisposed to higher frequencies. This causes the glitches in behavior we call madness. The moon is literally tuning your brain to stay in a frequency of survival, fear, and aggression, the exact frequencies needed to maintain the scarcity economy of the New World. Why have we never sent a civilian camera to the dark side of the moon? Why is there a no-fly zone for every private satellite over the lunar far side? Because the far side is where the Antikythera is exposed. The transmission hub on the side that faces away from Earth, the camouflage is unnecessary. Leaked photos from the early Apollo missions, before they were scrubbed by the Smithsonian and NASA, show massive $12 mile-high towers known as the Shard and the Tower. These are not rock formations. They are geometric, crystalline structures that act as the primary antennas for receiving instructions from the outer lands or from the founders themselves. This is where the exit craft we discussed in our Antarctica investigation dock. The moon is the relay station between our pond and the rest of the infinite plane. It is the control tower that manages the sun cycles and the atmospheric pressure of our dome. NASA stopped the Apollo missions not because they ran out of money, but because they were told to stay away. The founders realized that even a reset human, like a modern astronaut, might start asking too many questions if they saw the massive, glowing hangars and the mercury vortex ports that litter the lunar far side. We are allowed to look at the face of the moon, the beautiful dead mask, but we are never allowed to see the engine. Mainstream science tells us the moon is a giant mirror reflecting the sun's light. But if you perform a simple experiment in your own backyard, one that thousands of independent researchers have done, you will find a truth that defies the laws of thermodynamics. Moonlight is cold. If you measure the cold temperature of an object in the shade of the moon versus the temperature of an object in direct moonlight, the object in the moonlight is colder. This is an impossibility if it is merely reflected sunlight. Sunlight carries heat, $infrared. Reflected light should carry a fraction of that heat. But moonlight is thermoluminescent. It is its own source of energy, and it is an extracting energy. The holographic projector in the Tartarian model, the moon is not a rock. It is a plasma lens. It is a massive high-energy projection hub. Its primary function is to act as a glass shield for the firmament. It projects the hologram of space onto the atmospheric dome to keep us from seeing the real celestial mechanics. By projecting a distorted image of the stars and planets, the moon creates a psychological distance. It makes us feel like we are in an infinite, empty void rather than in a protected, energy-rich pond. The cold light it emits is a byproduct of the endothermic reaction needed to power the surveillance grid. It is literally sucking the heat, the life force, out of the atmosphere to keep its sensors running. We are taught that the moon's gravity causes the tides, but gravity is a theory that fails to explain why the moon only pulls on the oceans and not on the atmosphere or the Great Lakes with the same intensity. The dielectric tether. Water is a conductor. The oceans of our world are a massive saltwater battery. In the Tartarian era, the oceans were calm. The water was still, allowing the global energy grid to tap into the dielectric potential of the sea. The founders used the moon to create chaos in the water. By tethering the oceans to the lunar frequency, they created the tides. This constant movement keeps the ocean battery in a state of turbulence, preventing humans from using the water as a source of free energy. It is a planetary braking system. Every time the tide rises and falls, it creates a magnetic drag on the Earth's plane. This drag limits the amount of etheric energy that can be harvested by the star forts. The moon is the regulator that ensures the engine of the world never runs at 100%. It keeps us in a state of energy poverty so that we have no choice but to rely on the founders' fossil fuels and metered grids. Have you ever stared at the dark spots on the moon, the Maria, and thought they looked like the outlines of continents? The specular reflection. There is a growing theory in the investigative community that the moon is not just a satellite, but a mirror. Because it is a plasma lens, it reflects the true map of the infinite plane below it. If you take the image of the moon, invert it, and overlay it on our known world, something chilling happens. The dark spots on the moon do not match our continents, they match the outer lands beyond the ice wall. The moon is a radar display for the founders. It shows them the movements of the Tartarian remnants in the Summerlands. It shows the boundaries of the ponds across the infinite plane. We call it the man in the moon to make it seem like a childhood fantasy, but it is actually the master map of the prison. We are looking at the exit every single night, but we are conditioned to see craters instead of coastlines. The moon is a GPS for a world they have forbidden us from entering. If the moon is a hollow, titanium-hulled surveillance station, then why did the Apollo photos show a dead rock with gray dust and small stones? The Hollywood stagecraft. The founders had a problem in the 1960s. Technology was advancing, and private telescopes were getting better. They knew that if a real camera ever reached the moon, it would see the towers, the glass domes, and the mercury vortex ports of the Tartarian exit fleet. So, they hired the best in the business, Stanley Kubrick. The moon landings were a cinematic decoy. They filmed a dead version of the moon on a soundstage in Nevada to provide a visual standard for humanity. By showing us a boring, empty desert, they ensured that no one would ever want to go back. The evidence of the lie. The C rock, a prop rock with a letter C clearly visible in the Apollo 11 footage. The crosshairs, camera markers appearing behind the objects they were supposed to be measuring. The missing stars. Why is the sky pitch black in every NASA photo when the stars should be 10 times brighter without an atmosphere? They didn't fake the landing because they couldn't go. They faked the landing to hide what was already there. They went to the moon to sign a treaty with the founders of the outer world, and they came back with a movie to keep the reset humans quiet. For 200 years, the lunar frequency has been the invisible fence of our world. It has jammed our pineal glands, disrupted our water, and kept us trapped in a cycle of fear and scarcity. The signal is fading, but something is happening. In the last decade, the Schumann resonance, the heartbeat of the Earth, has begun to spike. The energy of the Great Return is flooding back into the pond. The moon's jamming signal is being overpowered by the rising frequency of the human DNA. People are beginning to see through the glass shield. We are decalcifying our antennas. We are looking at the moon and no longer seeing a god or a satellite. We are seeing a target. Conclusion: the end of the night. The moon was placed in the sky to ensure the Tartarian reset was permanent. It was the eye of the warden, but every warden knows that once the prisoners stop fearing the guard tower, the prison is already lost. The founders are desperate. They are launching new moon missions under the guise of Artemis to try and repair the aging surveillance grid. But it's too late. The truth is out. The cold light is being exposed. The mirror map has been decoded. The next time you look at the moon, don't just see a light in the sky. See the end of the line. We are no longer the Proselenes, those before the moon. We are the Proselenes, those who will survive it. The eye is closing. The reset is failing. Remember who you are.